Hello, my name is Lynette, and I am a certified professional resume writer with the Career Center, a free service of the East Baton Rouge Parish Library. Today's video is all about creating your first resume. So our target audience for this video is mostly young people, maybe who are still students, or perhaps recently graduated from high school, who've never really needed to make a resume before and aren't quite sure how to do it. Today's video is going to take you through the process step by step. So to begin with, let me share my screen. All right, let's get right into it. Today's video is going to talk about what you include on your resume, how you structure it, and some common mistakes that you'd like to avoid. So the big question first is, what do you need to put on your resume? This is something that's going to change at different points throughout your career. But for right now, the answer is pretty much everything. Everything that you possibly could have to offer, such as your contact information, of course. You need to let them know how to get in touch with you. Plus your education, your work experience, if you have any volunteer experience that you might have, your extracurricular activities, the awards and honors that you've received, as well as your skills and accomplishments. Let's look at each of these in a little bit more detail. To begin with, your contact information. At the very top of your resume, make it easy for them to find. You want your name in large type so that it's instantly attention-grabbing. But the rest of your contact information you can put in pretty small type. This information isn't as instantly important, and when they want it, they can look for it. You can put your street address, but this is optional. If you are applying for a job online, if you're submitting a job application, especially through a job search website such as Indeed, I would probably not include your street address on that because there's a chance of a security risk. What many people are doing nowadays is simply putting their city and state in their contact information, as well as their email address and their phone number. One thing to keep in mind, when you're job searching, that email address and that phone number need to be easily accessible for employers. If they try to email you, if they try to call you, you need to make it easy for them. So make sure that your inboxes are not full and that you're checking your emails and your voicemails and your messages promptly and responding to them quickly. Otherwise, there's a chance that the hiring manager who called you for an interview last week has since moved on to the next name on his list. So make sure that you're taking care of that business. Next, you're going to put your education. For most people, I recommend putting education at the bottom of the resume, but not for a recent graduate or current student. If you're still in school or you just got out of school, that education is the most valuable thing that you have to offer. So you're going to put it at the top of the resume. Certain things you want to include the name of your degree, the name of your school, the city and the state where that school is located, and the date that you graduated. If you haven't graduated yet, say anticipated graduation date, and then put that date. It's important to include the date because it instantly explains to the person reading your resume why you don't have much work experience yet. It's because you've been in school. Certain other things you want to highlight about your education. If you've got a good GPA, if you've got any sort of specialized coursework that might be relevant to the job you're applying for. If you're applying for an IT help desk position, include any classes you've taken on computers. If you're applying for a position that will require advanced mathematics, write out completed courses in trigonometry and calculus. Let them know that you have those specialized classes. If you have academic awards such as Honor Roll or Dean's List, you're going to want to include that too. That's something you want to brag about. Also, in addition to your high school diploma, you're also going to include any additional certifications or training that you received that might be of interest to the employer. If you are CPR certified, for example, or if you received training as, the example I include here, as a certified peer mediator, these are things that are going to catch an employer's eye. They're going to be like, oh, that's a useful skill. Next, you're going to add work experience. And I know what you're thinking. I don't have any work experience. This is my first resume. Well, you might have more than you think. Things such as babysitting, mowing your neighbor's lawns, any kind of work that you've done after school, any job that you held over the summer, internships that you've completed, or even volunteer work that you've done. All of this can be included here. So really brainstorm before you say you don't have any work experience. Think about it. Are you sure? Because I think when you go through and think about the things you've done, you may have more than you think. If not, that's okay. There are other things you can put on your resume. But if you do have work experience, go ahead and include it and showcase what you've done. You want to put it in reverse chronological order. So you want to start with your current or most recent work experience, and then the one before that, and then the one before that, and then the one before that. Go backwards. Certain things you want to include the name of the company that you worked for and the city and state where it's located. Your job title. This might be a waitress, a camp counselor, lawnmower, or landscape technician. Some kind of job title so we know what kind of work you did for them. The dates that you worked there, a start date and an end date. And you want to include a job description. This should give us some general idea of what you did on the job. And you especially want to highlight anything that you accomplished there that's noteworthy, that you can be proud of, any skills that you gained that are useful and would be of interest to an employer, such as if you learned how to use a specific kind of software or equipment, if you trained or got promoted or supervised other people. These are things you especially want to highlight. If you need a little help putting together job descriptions, you can check our list of sample job descriptions, which is available on our website, or you can take a look at one of our other YouTube videos, Creating a Winning Resume. Once you've got your work experience, and you don't have a full page yet, now it's time for everything else. And I've got a picture of a kitchen sink here because you're going to throw the kitchen sink at your resume. So I would think of everything else that you have achieved in your life, that you have learned or experienced or done, besides the things you've already put on your resume. Make a list of everything that you could possibly brag to an employer about. Then, once you've got your list, look at how you might be able to organize it. What kinds of categories and section headings you might include to group these achievements together. Here are some examples of popular categories that we see on new graduate resumes: academic awards, athletic honors, extracurricular activities, leadership experience, volunteer work, clubs, computer skills, office skills, or just a general achievements. What kinds of achievements and skills might be worthy of going on your resume? Here are some examples. Beta Club Treasurer. That's a great accomplishment. And it goes into more detail. What did this person do as a Beta Club Treasurer? Handled budgets, fundraising, and cash control. These are very useful, marketable skills. So it's a good idea to spell them out. Bilingual in English and Spanish. Absolutely. Language skills can be a big plus. Be careful not to overstate the case, though. If you're not fluent in a language, don't say that you are. If you would have difficulty communicating with someone in this language, you may want to leave it off of your resume. Computer skills, such as proficient in MS Word and Excel, type 60 words per minute. These are very useful skills. Second place in statewide piano competition. Excellent. Now, playing the piano is probably not going to be part of any job that you apply for. So why does this matter? Well, it speaks to your character. If you won or placed second in a statewide piano competition, that means that you've practiced long and hard. It speaks to your dedication and your patience and your drive to succeed. Played center on an award-winning basketball team for 3 years. Absolutely. Team sports show teamwork. This shows a leadership position. These are very relevant skills. Likewise, if you've been in the performing arts, choir, band, something like that, these can also show these teamwork and responsibility skills. So include that too. Perfect attendance award. Employers love seeing this because it means you'll be a reliable employee. So things such as this are the kinds of accomplishments that you can use to help flesh out your resume so that you've got a full page at least, even though you may not have much work experience yet. Next, I want to give you a bit of a warning. Some of you, rather than creating a resume from scratch, are going to want to use an online resume template that's already available. It's got the formatting pre-built in. It's a little faster and more convenient, and that's fine. Except, if you go online and just Google resume template, what's likely to happen is that you're going to be directed to a website that promises to help you make a resume absolutely free. And it will be absolutely free until you try to print it or email it or save it or do anything with this document you just created, and all of a sudden they're asking for a credit card number. Think about it this way. If it seems too good to be true, it probably is. Please be aware that these kinds of websites are out there, and make sure that you don't get a resume that you created held hostage from someone asking for money that you don't want to pay. Instead, there are resources for resume templates that are actually free. Here are some examples. Our resume templates, of course, on the Career Center website, careercenterbr.com. We have several free, downloadable, completely customizable resume templates, including 3 that are designed specifically for new graduates. CareerOneStop.org is a fabulous nonprofit that assists people with career and job search advice. They have sample resumes, and you can use these templates to get started. You could also simply use Microsoft Word. If you have Microsoft Word on your computer, there are resume templates that come with this software, and those can be a good resource as well. Let's take a look now at a couple of resume templates designed for new graduates. This resume template is from our website, the Career Center website. This is one of our new graduate resumes. As you see, it begins with the person's contact information up at the top, and then education near the very top of the resume. It specifies the high school diploma, the name of the school, the city and the state, and the date graduated, so that we instantly know this is someone who's fresh out of school. This person does have work experience, not a great deal, but a little bit. So she goes into detail on where she's worked, when, the jobs that she held there, and a little bit of detail about what she did on each job. Below this, to help flesh out her resume, she has additional sections, including her achievements, honor roll in the National Honor Society. So this speaks well to her character and her drive to succeed. She includes volunteer experience working for Big Brother, Big Sister, and Run for Life. And she also includes her marketable computer skills. So this is a good starting resume for someone who maybe doesn't have a lot of work experience yet, but talks about what she does have to offer. Let's take a look at another example. This resume template comes from a book, the book Creating Your High School Resume. This is an excellent book for someone who's just starting out creating their first resume. And in general, resume books can be a good resource for you to find templates and examples of ways to do a resume. Just make sure whatever book you find is written by someone who is a licensed, certified professional resume writer, as the author of this book is. So let's get into the template. It begins with an academic goal. And from that, we can see that he's not so much writing this resume for applying for a job. This resume is more for an internship. He specifically says his goal is to attend a university with a strong English or public relations program and to pursue internships in public relations. So, since he's applying for an internship, this may have a slightly more scholarly feel to it. He's going to approach this to showcase his expertise as a student. And for that reason, we see a huge section under education. He includes the name of his degree, city and state, and the expect to graduate date. But below that, he also includes some subsections under the education, his academic honors, which are extensive and impressive. He was an honorable mention for the National Merit Scholarship. He's in the top 10% of his class. He includes his AP courses, which are relevant to the kinds of internships he's applying for, and his work in the McMullen program and as a peer tutor. So very impressive from an academic standpoint. He also includes athletic activities. Again, these can showcase teamwork skills, responsibility, dedication to a goal, and activities. These are the extracurricular activities he was involved in, Big Brothers, French Club, and he wrote for the school newspaper. That in particular is really relevant to the kinds of internships he's applying for in public relations. Very cool. Below that, he gives a summary of his relevant skills. And these skills are very relevant to his goal. He talks about his writing, communications, and presentation skills. He talks about his research, analytical, and critical thinking skills. All of these are skills that directly relate to an internship in public relations. He describes himself as being service motivated. He includes his computer skills in MS Office, Adobe Acrobat, Photoshop, LexisNexis. Computer skills are pretty much always relevant. And he even includes that he has basic writing and conversational skills in French. I like that he not only included the language, but also his level of comfort and expertise with it. It gives me, as the reader, a good idea of what his skill set is. Below this, he includes work experience. He doesn't go into a great deal of detail on this because the jobs that he's had, banquet server, laborer, warehouse assistant, are not directly relevant to his next goal, which is an internship in public relations. But he does include these work experiences to show that he does have a work history, that he has a history of showing up to a job, getting along with a team, being reliable, and productive. All in all, an excellent resume. Finally, I'd like to give you some last-minute general tips for perfecting your first resume. You want to keep your resume easy to read. Remember, the person reading your resume is in a hurry and has a huge stack of resumes to get through. Make it easy on them. Make your document very easy to skim through. You can do this by shortening it. A single page is all you need. You want to include clear section headings, consistent formatting. You want to have bullet points rather than paragraphs. A bullet point is a lot easier to read than a giant wall of text. And you want to make sure that the text is large enough that they can read it easily. I'd say 10-point font minimum. I'm honestly more comfortable with 12. Never lie on a resume. Do not say something on a resume that's not true. Don't tell us you're fluent in French if you only have basic conversational skills. Don't say you're proficient in Microsoft Excel if you can barely open the program. These are things that they're going to find out on your first week of the job if it's not true. So don't put yourself in that position. And of course, do not ever tell a lie about jobs that you've held or education that you've received. If you say that you were in the honor roll when you weren't, these are things that are very easy for them to verify and check. And every employer does a background check, so don't tell a lie. I know at the beginning I said you include everything on your resume. That wasn't quite true. There are a couple of things that used to be included on the resume that you don't want to include anymore. References. Your references do not need to be on your resume. You don't even need a line about references available upon request. You can put that if you want to, but you don't have to, because it's an understood that if they ask for references, you'll provide them. But they don't need to be part of your resume. Also, objectives. Objectives used to be a standard part of the resume, but they've fallen out of favor in recent years. Including an objective, which is focused on what you want, it can make you look a little bit selfish. What you might include instead is a profile statement or a professional summary that focuses on what you have to offer them. But I would be wary with objectives. Now, the previous resume that we looked at had an academic goal at the top, which is basically the same thing as an objective. But in that case, I think it was okay because it was very specific and targeted. Objectives are problematic when they're vague and when they really don't say anything more than "I want a job." The previous resume we saw with the academic goal, it's pretty good as is because it's very specific and targeted to that one specific kind of situation. But in general, I'm not a huge fan of objectives. Finally, you want to make sure that before you send a resume or cover letter anywhere, you get it proofread by 3 different people. You do not count as one of these people because you've been working on this document for so long, you're not going to notice the little mistakes. Spell check also does not count as one of these people. There are lots of mistakes that spell check will miss. There are misspellings that we've seen on resumes in the past that spell check didn't catch it because it is a word, it's just not the word they meant to type. So please get your resume and cover letter proofread by 3 different actual human beings. Because if your resume includes a typo, what that's going to say to the employer is that you didn't care enough to double check and make sure that this document was perfect. And if you don't seem to care about this, then they're not going to be very impressed. So make sure you get it proofread. And of course, if you would like any assistance with putting together your resume, editing, proofreading, perfecting it, you can always get help from us. So here is all of our contact information, our physical location on the main library on Goodwood in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Our phone number, our website, our YouTube channel, our Twitter handle, our Facebook name, And if you have specific questions about your resume, you can email me. Here is my personal email address. So this concludes my first resume video. If you enjoyed this video, please hit like. And if you'd like to see more videos from us, please click subscribe. Thank you for joining us.